Pickup truck? 50. What are you doing? Sunset near me. Was that for was that something for me or no? Because we didn't go to a sunset. So what girl did you take to see a sunset? Okay. Explosions, Maryland? Yeah, I wanted to blow stuff up for the vlog. You have a dark mind. And why do you look at pics of cows? Man riding a cow? Is that your dream for the video? I was gonna put myself riding a cow on a billboard, but I decided not to because it was weird. I think this might be worse than my phone. No, it's not. I think it is. It is not worse than your phone. Here, I have a good thing that you can look at my old pictures from my Facebook, my really old ones. Oh my god, I found you. It was like Where's Waldo? Yeah. Oh, that's okay. So that's when I first met you, and you had that full cut. Yeah. Like really skinny. That's when my mom was still straight. See, I thought that was such a cool picture. I don't know why. Brandon. Isn't it bad? You actually look like you lock people in. That's why you wanted to me though. God, it's so cringy. I hate taking pictures. I look like a dad. I want to go through your Instagram messages. My Instagram messages? Okay, so I'm going to go to messages. There's a lot of girls in here. What are these smiley faces with girls? I get a lot of messages from girls. But it looks like you allow them in. Like, they're not in your request. They're in your Who's Jessica? I just got my room. Can't wait to see you. Hello? Jessica? I'm gonna cut your into shreds. Stop my man. Is this Nick? No, it's Jessica. I hate that. You were such an idiot. You could have at least hired an actual girl to do this. Nick, are you doing this in the gym right now? No. I didn't get close. Okay, on that note, we'll see you guys next time. Yes, thank you for watching. Question. Do you recognize this man? Who is? Hey, what's up? Sorry from going through sniping and all that stuff. So if you use a sniper, find out where they.
Alright, so here's the deal. Alright. I haven't played a video game in a while. And I just started going to the gym again. We're going to attempt a Minecraft video. My headphones aren't working. So we might have to use the TV, but unless the audio just isn't working at all. Huh. So I guess the volume isn't working really at the moment. But essentially what's happening is we had a mod put on. I don't know if it's working at the moment, but we had one in the past, and we have a map for it where we have mine colonies on it. And the whole plan was to basically use mine colonies to build an army and then defeat the Ender Dragon with it. But I ended up making the kingdom, and then I never really finished building or doing everything there. So in the future, I might go back and try to do that. But for now, this is what we got. Now, what the mods are supposed to do is basically allow the mobs to be super difficult. Namely, creepers will explode trying to get to you. so they're able to dig to you, all right? And the only way I could really survive on that map doing that at the very beginning was to find hills and then try and build on top of the hills. Now, really, all I wanted was the exploding creepers. However, we ended up getting zombies that build and stuff as well, so it became very difficult to keep everything out. And no matter really what I tried, they would always whittle it down. And so mine colonies was the only way for me to actually uh, get through and have some people to defend the kingdom. And even then, very difficult. Like this right here, um, the epic siege, like this stuff, it's very difficult to have any farms with animals because they will attack you and they will kill each other as well. So everything like that is just very difficult to manage with the mod. Now we should have villages turned on, and that was the whole premise of this. I had a map that I made right before I got here to test, and it didn't have any trees, but it had villages every few blocks, and that was really the selling point of what I was going for here. Was because the other map had enough villages for you to basically kind of defend one and then run and try and I was going to try and defend all the villages and use them for supplies, but anyway, essentially though we've changed how Minecraft plays. And at the moment I don't have any volume, so I don't know how to fix that. But it'll probably get dark soon, and as soon as mobs start spawning, we're gonna have a problem. Now, ideally, I wanted to find a village with an iron golem or something that could defend me, but we might have to go underground. And if that's the case, um, this could be a very rough night. I don't really know what the detection radius is. So I know from the other maps that, especially when you have no torches, you had to torch everything because the creepers would spawn inside and then they go the quickest route to get to you, they explode. So they'll blow up through your walls. They will make huge craters in the ground and just let mobs swarm. And then the zombies build up and stuff, so I mean, you can't really do any of that either. And then also, some of the creepers catch everything on fire. Which is even worse. There is a lot of trees here, but we're running out of daylight. And I don't know if we're going to be able to find a village. I tried to turn villages on, and I mean, I have generated structures. I don't know if that applies to villages. I guess I could look it up. So over here, Minecraft, generate structures. Hmm. we could possibly attempt to make a bed. Anyway, I was wanting to try to play this mod if it's still working, I don't know. But I was gonna try and play the mod on a flat world like we're doing right now. I figured there would be a village somewhere. Pumpkins could be a good thing to get, but yeah, we might just have to hunker down for a little bit. I'm not sure if underground is going to work with this particular mod, if we're going to be frank. Okay, so we probably need to make a doorway or something here. Could have swore that's what it was, a door. Ooh, okay, maybe it all has to be one wood. Door. Come up here. Go doors. So we got a couple of doors. Yeah, you see right there? They're blowing up and they're already coming. See, but that right there is how vicious this mod is, okay? So you see, it wasn't just one or two. That was like four creepers. They blew up instantaneously. As soon as they couldn't get to you, they blow up, and then they catch everything on fire on top of that. So the wood is gonna burn. They're gonna keep blowing up stuff to get to you. It's pretty crazy. So you can see right here, especially on this flat world, how many of those there are. They're everywhere. And then every single night you're gonna have to fight these guys, and then you're gonna have to fight these creepers every day as well. And I got withers up, and then the mobs can pick each other up as well. Like you see the chaos here. Like there's physically zero chance that you survive this in survival. You like the only way like stuff like that. You have to find a mountain and get down in it, and that's the only way. And I don't know what their detection radius is, so you might be able on this since it's a flat world. I don't know if there's tunnels. You might be able to dig down, and then they would just be on the surface. But even then, like they will eventually blow up and get to you. Like right there, creeper on top of a creeper. But the bad thing about all of this is that the zombies can build up with cobblestone and actually build up to reach you. Which, me personally, I think the creepers being able to explode the way they do is perfectly fine. That would give you at least a chance to be able to actually deal with a lot of stuff. But you see, when you have this mod going, there's a lot of damage that just happens to the world naturally. And so it's pure chaos the whole time. So, for an example, we'll go to a title screen. We're going to go to an amplified world if they have the option here. So we're going to go create a new world. So we're going to go survive amp. Now we go to more world options. Now we have amplified, and that's really the only thing that they have here. Um, but when you do stuff like this, you're going to see that they go through defenses like crazy, especially when you first start off. I don't think there's any way that you're going to possibly hold them off for any long periods, especially when it comes to caves and everything else. So we're going to use the cheat chest or the cheat box. Generated structures. Okay. All right. Now we go into this world. Now, one of these maps that I have, I don't remember if it's amplified or not, but it is um, mine colonies, and I had three kingdoms that I built to test out these things to defend with these guys. And there's a couple of options that you can use to actually defend yourself versus these guys. One of them being like lava cobblestone walls. So you put the lava down and then you put the cobblestone or the water over it, and it makes a cobblestone wall. And then when they blow through it, it makes a hole, but there's still lava there. I mean, that's something that kind of works. But you can see like a map like this, there's some terrain that you can use to your advantage, which is good. But on this kind of game, you're going to have to, I don't really know, probably you want somewhere that is difficult for them to get to you. And what's good about a map like this is that you have these high elevations. So if you're there, they shouldn't spawn there, and they have to spawn down below. And then they'll blow up trying to get to you, and they take a while to get to you. But when you leave your base and you come back, they can spawn in your base and completely destroy it, especially if you build out of wood, which, especially when you start off, building out of wood is kind of the generic thing that you got to build with, so, but it doesn't last. I found having mountains with bridges on my original playthrough helped quite a lot because you have a couple of different like fortified bases connected with bridges. And then when they try and cross, you can disconnect the bridge and they kind of get stuck and there's not really much they can do at that point. So I don't think I really want to go super high up, but I will try and go down somewhere where there's a bit of mountain that I can actually take advantage of. And it looks like we don't have a lot of time until the daylight's gone. And I don't know if the mobs are purely spawning at night or not, but something like this, the water can help defend the wall and keep it from getting destroyed. So that is a plus. Okay. Let's go ahead and chop this tree down real quick. Because we got to know there's water, or there's fire, and there's explosions. That's the main thing that's going to deal a lot of damage to us. So, I mean, water down here might help with the explosions. And I don't know why there's gravel there, but something like this might be our best bet. I don't know if we should build down low or up high. Probably just try down low, and maybe the water will kind of... something just blew up there. Maybe the water will kind of protect us. This right here is why the mine colonies was so good, because you could basically build up your mine colony, put up guard towers, and have a bunch of guards. And yes, the monsters would still break in, but the guards would at least fight them a little bit. It's kind of bad right now just because we don't have any sound. So there should be a few layers of dirt above us. And they could possibly be blowing up right there to get to where we're at, but I'm not 100% certain. But we are underground. We do have water on at least one side of us, and we probably have a decent amount of stuff in between us and the monsters at the moment. But we do need to seal up this door. So we're gonna go ahead and hold up. Got a text message. All right, let's try to go a little deeper. What I'm gonna try and do is basically block off a couple of areas here. So this door probably isn't going to do much of anything, but there is water there, and it may help us just last a little longer. Go ahead and collect a couple of these coal, just for some torches, be good. And then we're going to have to make a actual pickaxe here in a second. I don't recall if the zombies can dig, but I know they can build. So, I mean, being underground seems like the best way to have a defense. But then again, there can be cave systems and stuff that you don't know about, and they'll come right through the wall. So, I don't know exactly how all that's going to pan out. And I'll try to work on these. I might have to restart the game or something, but if I can find a way to get the sound back, that'll help a lot because I'll know where they're coming from, and at least I can try and get away. Okay, but I think that water is going to be working pretty well for us. I don't know if they're going to really spawn much at the moment. Let's go ahead and get a couple pickaxes, and then we'll continue down. So that's our first door, and then we'll kind of dig another level out here maybe, and then put another door up. And I'm going to try and use the doors as just temporary wall barriers. Because ideally, I mean, if they blow up next to this door, I mean, the door is going to be gone and the walls are going to be gone. So you probably want, you know, maybe a 3 or 4 thick wall. Oh, shoot. See, stuff like that. I don't know where it came from. Did it spawn here? So they've already blown up through here. You see this? They blew a hole right there. It came down and blew up behind me. So pretty much our whole plan for security right there has backfired, and we need to go in a different direction because this wall is going to be gone. I'm going to go ahead and grab this cobble. Now a ladder might be our best bet at this point. I don't know if I can try and plug that hole. I mean, that's a temporary solution. Right now this is a death pit. Um, yeah, let's just go ahead and do that, and then maybe dig this way. But you can see by the time we've already tried and built our first defense, they've already broken in. So the only way to actually build anything in this game mode is to have like a temporary peaceful mode. Otherwise they'll find you. And me personally, I don't mind, especially with this mode, going into creative to build your first defense, and then just kind of living off of that afterwards. Because no matter how well you think that you've built your first defense, it's not good enough. Trust me, I built 3 giant castles with guards and lava and trap gates and everything, and it doesn't work out the way that you think it will because essentially you can build these big walls or whatever you want to do. I basically just terraformed a section of a mountain and then built some small walls on top of it, but they're going to blow up underneath your walls and tunnel under, and then they'll build back up and get into your base that way because the zombies build um, the stairways and stuff for the other creepers and everything else to get in. So no matter how badass your walls are, they're going to get run through unless you can somehow keep them generating. And the only way I can think to do that is with cobblestone generators, which I haven't got to try yet. But if you could build some massive cobblestone generators to build some repairing walls, that's probably the best bet that you have to actually keeping these guys out. But even then, they're going to come up underneath the floor, and so you're going to need a regenerating floor as well. And that might not even keep them out either. I'm not sure. So, but I haven't seen any more explosions, so we might be able to get down and find some stuff here. But we do need a few safe areas to where we can kind of dig and expand, ideally. I think we've got enough coal at the moment, so I'm just going to kind of like dig down right here. And then, alright, so we got some iron. It's good. So stuff like this, you're going to have to basically seal off with a door to try and buy a little bit of time in case something happens. But you come in here, we build some torches. Um, we're just gonna need time so that we can generate some resources, and then we're gonna have to figure out somewhere else to go before they destroy everything. And that's the biggest point. So this right here, I mean, we're doing good, but at any point there could be a cave down here. They're probably still blowing up above us as well. So I mean, I don't know what the detection radius is. If I knew what the detection radius was, ideally you would probably want to have that thick of a wall around you and then just kind of work inside and light up the area around it. But without that information, it's kind of hard to judge. Okay, cool. So we're going to build another little checkpoint right here. The good thing about the creepers spawning so much though is that they can keep the other mobs from getting to you. So say if I have this stairway right here, right? And they happen to get into the stairway, they may blow up the stairs and then it takes a long time for anyone to actually uh, get up the stairs as long as the creepers keep exploding. So okay, so this is going to be the next little checkpoint. All right, a little sealed off action there, and then we'll continue on down. It seems like the safest way to deal with this threat at the moment, anyway. Okay, so we got some gravel here. Maybe if we had paths with pistons on them. So let's say I built a path across a moat, and at the end I had a piston, and the piston pushes the creatures off into the moat. maybe something I could work with, depending on if the zombies actually like keep building across the moat or not. We're at 21 right now. All right, so this is the level we want to be on, I believe. So we'll make another small little room here, and then this will be the final checkpoint for everything. Now, ideally, if they're not blowing up above us, we'll have some time here. Okay. Put another little door. Go ahead and grab some iron. Okay. I'm just digging up 3 in case I ever want to like put a mine rail or something down here. Ideally, if those monsters are following me up top, they're just going to continue to blow up in a random direction. That would be the best situation. But however, if I don't keep it lit down here, then they're going to be able to spawn in the tunnel, and that's not good. Hmm. Just want to kind of inspect the damage up here. I think it might still be dark. Best bet might just be to dump water over the whole top of this so that they can't blow down from the top. I'm thinking that's probably the best bet. So we'll make a bucket, and then we'll use the bucket to surround our base with water. And then the water should protect our base from the explosions and the fire. Hopefully. And that's going to be the main threat because the zombies, I don't think they can dig. And if the creeper explosions don't deal any damage, then I don't really see how they can get in, ideally. So, I mean, we got some more wood, so that's good. And at least we got trees and we got some animals around. But we're going to have to figure out what our next move is from here. I would like to find a village at some point. But we could also build a staircase completely up to the top. Then maybe cover the, like build a building up there. And then flood the rest of the area with water. That way that the creepers and stuff can't blow up the ground. And then if they try to dig up from the bottom, they're going to get kind of washed back, maybe. Could be a solid trial. I mean, we've tried a couple different methods in the past where you built like little roads. Basically, with this many explosions, kind of like that, um, you have to build roads inside of your builds. So you'll have your outside walls, and then you'll have an inside wall, and then you'll have a walled road or a fence because the mobs can't get through it. So they'll end up blowing it. It gives you layers of defense so they can't really get to you. Is the idea anyway. Alright, let's see if we can grab some of these saplings and plant them. Try and keep this little grove of trees alive. As long as we can keep the grove of trees up, we won't have to go very far for wood. And then we have the possibility of getting apples, which is another good bonus here. So a creeper blew up there, so it spawned up there probably and then fell down. But it is getting a bit dark, and that fire is going to burn this forest down. So we need to cut this tree down in order to save the rest of the forest, I think. Maybe. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but we're going to try and trim this back. And I could use these apples, so that's good. Try and trim these leaves back and trim these leaves. And then from there, we might be able to keep this from all burning. Okay, but it's getting dark, so we have to go back in the base. Now, the iron should be done. And then we can come right here, grab water, and then put it on top of that to keep them from spawning up top like that zombie right there. So it looks like they've already blown through that defense right there. Okay. So we just got to come down and just stay down here for a little while. So not too bad for the most part. I don't think that we can grow these trees down here. Okay, so we got some iron. And then we're going to want at least a bucket. Okay, so what this bucket's going to let us do is grab the water from outside, run it up to the top of the mountain, pour the water on the mountain, which should keep the monsters from being able to destroy the top, and then they shouldn't be able to spawn down here. So I would assume we'd be pretty safe. I don't really see how they could get past. It's actually a lot better plan than what I originally did, so there is that. Things like this, they might be able to spawn up there, I don't know. But this is giving me kind of a better idea of how I could have survived on the other map, though, just by getting a bucket and water. So I think when I'm mining, I could do 2 thick wall or I could do a 3 thick wall. And I think a 3 thick wall might be better just because If there's ore here, it would probably show up on the other side. I don't really know. So let's try a 3 thick wall on the right. 1, 2, 3. And then we do this, which would be the start. Of course, there's redstone here. Okay. Seems gonna need an iron pick. So back when I first started playing Minecraft, I used to do everything with stone tools, and I did massive areas that I would build with nothing but stone tools. And really, when you play this game, you might as well just use the best tools that you have available. It might not save you a ton of time, but it does save you time. And iron isn't the hardest thing in the world to come by, so I mean, it's not going to hurt you that much. Okay. But it is an interesting way to kind of change Minecraft up a little bit because it makes it to where you don't necessarily want to stay at your main base all the time. You kind of just want your main base to be like a pit stop. And then, I mean, if they deal damage to your main base, um, there's still not a whole lot you can do about it because if you try to repair it, they're just going to mow right through it. Like they're going to just keep coming while you're trying to do repairs. So that is something. All right. Just gonna go back and see what time of day it is. I'm assuming it probably already went through day and is back to night. But I think they should add this kind of feature to the game. If not the zombies building, just the creepers exploding randomly. So like maybe normal is just normal mobs and hardcore has the extra effect. That could be interesting. Toss this in here, toss these in here. Right. Trying to stick this down here so we can do some repairs to that top door. Oh, there's a place right here. So there's water there. Okay. So what we're gonna do is kind of seal this off if possible. I guess it's not possible. Okay. All right. Seal that off, and it looks like we got to seal this off as well. All right. So it's daylight. Now we need to cover the top of this with water. And ideally, that's going to fix our problem for the moment. Okay. So See if we can find where this explosion keeps happening. Okay. The explosion isn't happening on the surface, so there is something else going on here. Alright, so what we're gonna have to do with this is dig a little hole. Boom, boom. And then we're gonna have to get another one to make an infinite water block. Alright. So there's a hole or something underneath, right above where our little entrance is. So they're not getting in from the top of the structure, they're getting in from underneath. So that kind of puts a hole in our plan at the moment. But we can at least kind of secure this up a little bit. So just toss some water around. Now this water isn't spreading out like super evenly, but ideally you could cover this whole top piece in water, and then it's going to keep them, one, from being able to get to that area, to blow up in the first place, and then two, keep them from doing any damage to the area. All right. Not perfect, but it's something. But this means that we now need to seal up this area here. So there's something right there. There's a gap. Probably a tiny cave that's letting them get down in here. So what we have to do is, we could do an infinite water block, but I'm feeling kind of lazy, so I'll just stick some water here and then fill it up. Oh, maybe that'll keep them from blowing up this wall section. I don't really know. In any case, yeah, it's a Epic Siege mod, and if you go to like 1.12 or 1.13, you can stack it with mine colonies and anything else. So I guess I'm gonna hop off of here, but just a small little thing if you want to make Minecraft a little bit more interesting and constantly be under attack by mobs that are relentless and will completely destroy your builds. I mean, I guess I could show you, like, I don't know, you kind of already seen how they blow up holes, but essentially you're just going to have a bunch of stuff continuously blowing up on your base and continuously building blocks trying to get to you. So you can build some really thick walls that can survive one or two explosions. That works pretty well, but they're going to have to be like 5 or 7 thick. And then there's not really much you can do to stop the zombies from building up, but You may be able to put an overhang, and which will make it difficult for them to actually build around. But essentially, even if you do that, you're going to have pretty much every day mobs just blowing up through your walls. And manually placing enough blocks to make your walls that thick is difficult. So what I recommend is just either getting a mountain and then carving out the top part of the mountain and turning that into your wall, or using lava cast to build a massive uh, cobblestone wall. So that's really the main two options that you can do for like a good solid defense. But even that isn't really going to be enough to keep them out. So uh, and then with the the way the mod works on here too, it makes it to where basically it's very difficult to raise wolves or snow golems or anything like that because they will attack each other and kill each other. I mean, it's possible to kind of get them to work, but it takes a lot of finesse to get them to kind of function properly. So that's just something else to think of. But it looks like the water defense probably the best thing that you could do. I kind of want to do we'll go to the original flat survival world that I was gonna do this on. I just want to test out something real quick. So we're gonna go in here, spawn in, and then I don't know if I have cheats on here or not. Game mode, creative. Yeah, so can't do that. Just go in here, create a new world. We'll do creative, and then we'll do super flat. Now, what I'm about to find out is, see, stuff like this is what I was wanting to do on the series. Because there's villages, and the mobs actually attack villages. So what you will see is that when the mobs spawn, they would destroy all of these villages. It would be a massacre. And if you try to defend them, they'll slowly work their way in. So there's not a whole lot that you can do. But what we're gonna do is get water, and then we're gonna get, like, I don't know, stone, maybe some wood, just so we can see if the wood burns or not. And probably gonna need a door. Let's try a door. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is essentially, let's go over to a village real quick. So what I wanted to do was basically connect the roads of all the villages and then try and like keep them together. And then as you lost one, you could kind of make your way to the next one. But what we're gonna do here is, I guess we'll kind of build a house outside of the village. Let's look at this real quick. So I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna do this, and then, I don't know, a couple doors, that should be okay. And then, yeah, why not? 2, 3, 2 and 3, and then we'll come back one. I don't really have any specific plan here. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and do that. I don't really know. 2, 3. All right. So we're gonna do something like this, and then we're gonna come back in here and then do now. There's a lot of slime, so I mean, I don't know if this is gonna work the way I think it is or not, but I'm just gonna build like a 3 or 4 high wall. Uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. And if this works, then there's not really much else that you could want to do. I mean, water on your base just looks stupid though, but okay. Okay. But I mean, if something like this worked, that means that you could basically build a wall and then cover it with water, at least on the inside or something, which would keep the creepers from exploding it, which would be nice. So let's do that. So this is going to make a complete area around the building of water, I believe. Okay. And now to make it a little bit easier to approach, we could come down here and maybe dig out a trench that the water would actually go into. And that could be good. Okay, so now I think we need a villager. Let me look at this real quick. Villager and creeper. Okay, so we're going to do that. And then I think if this mod is correct, the creepers should aggro. Okay, so game mode survival. Alright, so now we're on survival mode. And you can see, I think the water is working. It's definitely keeping those guys at bay, which is good. Now, here's the thought process, okay? These creepers aren't able to get past the water barrier, but even if they do, I mean, they're gonna basically tunnel down like this. And then we gotta figure out how the creepers, if they would, get in. Because they may be able to tunnel down and get underneath the water somehow. So, but you see they randomly explode. So those guys are trying to make it to those villagers. So I think this right here is your best bet when it comes to defense. And it would appear to work versus pretty much anything. Now, This would pretty much make it to where you're in the same scenario as like vanilla Minecraft, where if you build a wall like this, that you're pretty much going to be completely defended versus anything they could throw at you. So it makes your main base completely safe. However, it makes the game harder because these creatures will be out there in your world and they're going to be able to blow right through whatever defensive structure that you build trying to save yourself. And they're going to be able to come after you through walls without you busting and like coming out to them. So to make this wall a little bit more stylish, I think what we got to do. So let's go ahead and grab some wood and all this stuff. We'll come over here and we're going to go and do 1, 2, 3. I don't think we really even need to worry about like a door or anything. So we're just going to do like a simple, just normal pattern of whatever this is. I don't know. And then we'll come back in into this. And then we'll come up. So this is going to be a simple defense. Now I tried to make quite a few defensive structures on the other place, and I mean, there wasn't much that you could do besides build up on a hill and hope that they didn't get underneath you. And that's where I think this might play in, is that if you build a structure like this on a hill, the water is going to come down, but there will still be a spot where maybe they could get underneath the mountain. And then after that, there's going to be more and more that get up underneath the mountain, making a bigger hole every time. And then the zombies will end up building up. So, but I mean, even this all together is going to be something that you're going to have to rush to do because you're basically going to have to gather supplies and survive for the first day and then rush and build something like this um, to kind of defend yourself with. And then even then, I mean, there's going to be a weak point at whatever your exit is, unless you just go up and down the water stream, then they might just be able to go right to where your door is, and that's a problem. Okay. So now we're going to come around like this and see what kind of effect this has. Okay. So we'll go ahead and put like the door right here maybe. And then come around with the water. And but you can see that it would take a lot of trips. You'd have to use a lot of water. You're going to have your material to do all of this as well. And now, I mean, you just have a solid band of water, which is kind of a little bit of a letdown, if we're going to be honest. So then, I mean, you try to decorate it up, maybe you do some of this, but like any decor that you make that's like this is going to be pointless. So, but that water is basically going to be your defense. So instead of having lava inside of your wall like I was doing in the previous things, I mean, you're just going to have a random wall. And then we stick in the villagers. Okay, so all these villagers are nice and cozy and safe. And then now we come in and we spawn creepers, which are attracted to the villagers. Now, the skeletons also have way better aim, but you can see right there, boom. So they were able to deal damage through the wall, which is already big. But it looks like the water barrier is actually holding up very well. Now, the spider could possibly get up the water, and a zombie could possibly get up the water, and they can carry each other. So it's possible that a zombie could swim up here, or a spider could swim up here with a creeper on it, just like this zombie has. And if that happens, it would destroy the inside of your wall, and then they could probably all get in. But for right now, this seems like the ultimate defense that you could have. But you're never going to have a really sophisticated looking wall when you have it surrounded by water. I mean, but you see the spider, it can make it up here. Now, if it does that with a creeper or anything, it's going to blow up this section of wall. You're going to have water pour into the middle of your wall, and it's going to be a problem. But also, on the outside of this wall, you're going to have constant fires. Like, the outside ground is going to be so destroyed. And then, let's say that they keep exploding like this. So they keep exploding, but they're not able to get underneath the wall. They're going to keep going down until this water stops flowing, and then they're going to be able to blow up underneath, and then they may continue to do that. But for the time being, this seems like the perfect defense for this game. So, I mean, water is an infinite source block. So for the most part, I don't think there's much that they could do to get through this. But anytime you leave this place, uh, it's going to be terrible, as you can see. So you're probably going to want like a cobblestone generator or something to build out a drawbridge so you can get out of here. But this is pretty much the ultimate defense that you could have, even though there's no way you could possibly make this look good. So the outside of your base is just going to be nothing but a blue wall. Although theoretically you could maybe build your wall and then just build the water moat. But another thing is like the skeletons, they shoot to hit through targets and they're very accurate, so I mean that's another big deal. But you can see just how many mobs just spawn. But all right, so let's say that we take wood, okay, and we just, go around like this. All right, we're gonna make this one a little bit smaller just because I don't really feel like building a whole lot more. But we're just gonna take a small area like this. I think we still have to build an outside portion now that I think about it, because we gotta make sure the water flows a certain way. Um, okay, but for this, you see, you would build your basic wall, but instead of doing all the other stuff, we would basically dig down like this. Okay, so you're gonna build out like one or two long. Okay. Okay. And then from here, you would have to build and dig a moat. And this might be the only other way that you would get this to work, but another thing to keep in mind when you're doing all this is that I forgot what I was saying. Keep in mind when you're doing all of this. Oh, basically you got to keep all of your top part lit up. So you're gonna have to light up every last piece of your wall and every last piece of the interior. Otherwise, you're gonna have massive issues where they spawn inside your base. which I mean they could have did by now at the other place. I mean, but you can just see the chaos that this is going to bring on your world. Like you're going to have holes everywhere. So, but it is possible you could funnel them in and make them, do something crazy. But that's probably the safest they're going to get. Now you see these guys, they're building stones up and they're trying to climb up. So, I mean, that's just something that happens. Now, I guess it is possible they could put like a daylight sensor or something to cut off the water during the day, but creepers don't despawn during the day, so I mean, that's just going to leave you open to a terrible situation where they just blow up a portion of your wall. And I think if the wall isn't there, they could probably just walk straight through the water. So that's something to consider. But now we're going to trial run this next portion here. And this is going to be the only way I could see you actually being able to build a defensible wall that looks good, and that is with the classic moat. Okay, so we got this, and now I'm going to just kind of do this. Boom, 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 boom. Now this is wood, so it might still kind of catch fire, but I just kind of want to see if this would work. So we're gonna have a moat, because this it doesn't really matter how deep the moat is. We're just gonna kind of hollow this out a little bit more. Okay. But just the amount of mobs that spawn as well is going to be a big deal, especially the skeletons and stuff. So, I mean, you're probably going to be locked up in your base for a good portion of a playthrough, especially if you know that nowhere else is safe. I mean, you're going to have to take 3 water buckets with you to kind of seal up any entrance that you could possibly get. But then even then, you got to cover the top and everything else. So that's just a terrible idea. So here we're just going to go ahead and spawn villagers on the inside. And we'll spawn the creepers on the outside. And I'm assuming they will probably catch this wood on fire at some point. All right, so they're trying to get to the villagers. They're falling into the moat. Okay. And it doesn't look like they're able to get close enough to the wall to deal any damage. Now, if this is the case, we could still build castle walls. You still have the possibility of them blowing and throwing one of them up to the wall, but I think the moat is going to be fairly effective. Now, you're going to need a cobblestone generator to build a passageway to get across, or just have a surplus of materials to do some other stuff, but I think this is probably the safest bet that you're going to have. Because you really want to defend. I mean, I like a good defense, but I don't like something that looks like look like that, a blue blob. Nobody wants a blue blob. So at least this, I mean, you could build it on the wall section under it. I think it would kind of be cool if you had like a couple of tree farms and you're able to like build a redstone that could push tree wood to make a drawbridge and then light it on fire. And then like you grow the tree that just it would make more tree wood so you can make another drawbridge. Because compared to cobblestone, which is probably going to cause issues, I would assume. But essentially, you just make a door and then you just make a cobblestone generator and then push it out. And it can go 13 blocks. So, I mean, that should be plenty wide, I would assume, for there not to be any major issues. I mean, no spider's going to just crawl up that with a creeper, I wouldn't think. But if a spider does manage to get up here, then climbing up, see right there? That one creeper got catapulted up through an explosion and then lit the top on fire. So wood is still going to be vulnerable if it's not covered with the everything else. But after you get something like this, I mean, there's not really much else they can do to you unless they manage to slip into your defenses. I mean, that's about it. But that also means like tunnels, anything like say you had a tunnel that went down and out for a mine, they could still blow up the walls to get into your mine and then follow those up into your building. And then you would have to try and repel them and seal off that and like flood it with water so they couldn't blow through the entryway. So, I mean, that's just a bunch of stuff to kind of think about there. But for the most part, I think not too bad. So what we could do is build something similar to this around the village, and then we could kind of start off. You can see the village has already taken some hits, like right here, and that's what I'm talking about. And then so basically, if you wanted to try and do this per village, you would have to have a bunch of material, a bunch of water, but villages already have all this water, so I mean that works out fine. But you can see like there's not a bunch of villages here. So this particular village would probably end up dying. I mean, it's already got a bunch of damage on it. But you just go around until you find another village and then build your wall around the village, defend the village, and then you would connect the roads to the next village, um, and kind of go about it that way. So you'd have to build a wall around it and then connect the road, and then eventually the road is going to end up being destroyed. But you know, if you wanted to build a kingdom, I mean, it's a slow way to do it. But that's probably the most effective defense you're going to get out of anything. But we'll come over to this other village and spawn some creepers. You can kind of see like what would end up happening to the village because see right there looks like either explosion damage. So something spawned in there and dug down and out. So that was a zombie that got in here and started digging out. See, with stuff like this, the zombies could build up here, and if they decide to start building across, they could possibly get up on this wall. So you're not perfectly safe. But basically, over time, this village would get overrun by creepers. I mean, that's just something that would happen. And since they go through walls, I mean, they're going to slowly all die. And I'm just going to try and replicate it and speed up the process a little bit. The fire is just that much more devastating on top of this, but you can see, I mean, a couple of creepers, a few days, and a village would be completely destroyed, which is already a big deal. So you find your way to a village, you didn't have the supplies to build a wall, and then literally a day and this would happen. I mean, you'd have all the houses completely ruined. What's also crazy about this mod is trying to build mob farms because I tried it. I couldn't get them to spawn really, and then it also means that if you build a mob farm and you allow the creepers to spawn in your mob farm, that they will destroy the mob farm. So if you're off just by like one calculation and a creeper spawns in there, it's gonna set a fuse and blow up at a random time inside the machine. And if you don't have water on during that period, your machine's gonna have a big hole in it, and then you're just gonna have a bunch of mobs just falling everywhere. So I mean, this game mode with this mod makes it to where it's extremely difficult to kind of play a normal Minecraft because even the animals kill each other. So you can't really make an animal farm unless you separate all your animals, and then you can't really make a mob farm because they'll end up destroying it. You can't really just build a building without no defense because they'll just walk right over it. Yeah, you can see all the wood in this village is going to end up burning, and I mean the stone can hold out for a little bit, but not really. And you just find these ruined villages, which just makes things that much more difficult during a playthrough. But at least we know kind of how you could get through and have a defense because, I mean, this is probably the most solid defense you're ever going to get right here. And now you just need a cobblestone generator, which I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember how to build them really. I'm just going to do something like this and then put like water and then like dig this out and then put like lava or something. Let's just do that. Lava bucket. I think it's something like that. Hey, you sir, must go. Cool. So, I mean, basically you'd have something like that, and you would need something like a piston. I mean, you could make an automated system, but I don't think you really necessarily need an automated system for this. So you need like a regular piston, and then you'd basically have to like put 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 the piston like down in here. Okay, and then at that point you would need a button or a lever, probably. So let me just like grab a button, grab a button, and then you come over here and you go doop, and then you go doop, and then boop, boop. Well, that's not ideal now, is it? Alright, we managed to break it. So really at this, I mean, you just need like a repeater or something. like a clock to make it go, and then you'd pretty much be set at that point. So right there's its maximum, which is almost to the edge. So you'd build something like that. Boom, boom, boom. And then it would come out to the edge like this. And then boop, 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 boop. You'd have the other side of your bridge right here. And then you'd have creepers, which would end up basically coming over here and trying to get in. So, I mean, we're going to go ahead and kind of, I mean, we'd have to have a better system for this, but essentially, you just have a door here. And, you know, they may blow up and destroy part of your bridge, but then they're not going to be able to get inside. And then you come back over here and you go boop. And it's rebuilt. Now, if you had something that deactivated the water that went over this, I mean, you might still be okay. I mean, we can kind of test it out a little bit. So if we did something like this and block the water from coming down the center here. Okay. And then we destroyed this part. I think we're still good. Because they're not going to be able to necessarily, I mean, a zombie might be able to, but I don't think they would be able to really get up in here very easily. But you can see these guys have a timer, so I mean, it's not even like they're making it all the way over. But if you do something like this, it's going to open up one weak spot, which is basically if they're able to get up to this drawbridge and there isn't water under here, they're going to be able to blow up underneath your door and get inside. This is kind of a big issue as well if you build something like that one over there and then you put a drawbridge that comes out. You're going to have a problem because the drawbridge is going to come out basically water level or above the water level. So if you don't retract the drawbridge or destroy it, they're going to be able to walk directly across the drawbridge and then blow up your front gate. But after they blow up your front gate, I mean, if it's not made out of wood, then the drawbridge is probably going to be destroyed and they're not going to be able to get across again. So, as an example, you would probably have something that comes across like this. Okay. And I mean, I don't know how far the drawbridge would be, but it'd probably go out something like that, and then you'd have a creeper or whatever that would end up walking across the bridge, maybe. Let's just put it closer. So it should sense the villagers, come over here, and then explode. Okay. Now, the moat's still perfectly good. It did a little bit of damage to the outside wall, and it didn't destroy this. But if it stayed on here, it might destroy this bridge. Okay. it didn't end up destroying the bridge, but it might end up destroying the bridge. And if it destroys the bridge, then none of the other creatures are going to be able to get across. However, it seems that they're not doing that. So, but if you didn't have access to a cobblestone generator or something, you could make a tree farm, stack some wood in there, build your wood across, and then destroy it at the end of the day. So something like that would happen, where these guys explode and destroy this drawbridge, and then now they're not going to be able to get across to the building, which is good. Now zombies can have the TNT as well, so that's a big deal. Because this is a really big one, because zombies can climb and they can build. So if this guy continues to build and not fight all these dudes, the zombie can actually, like right there, he placed a block. The zombie can get here, build, and then slowly build, and then get right here and blow up a hole in this wall. So I mean, the defense isn't 100%, but it's definitely better than having nothing at all. That is for sure. So we can all agree on that. So I might build just a very simple Minecraft world and then build a castle area with a moat like this under it, and kind of do a survival off of that. Just like a self-sustainable area. But I don't know yet. I still have the Minecraft colonies. That one doesn't have a moat or castle like this. It has a small castle area, but essentially it has a bunch of walls with guards and stuff on it. And if I built a moat, it might work. But when you have a really big castle area, especially with a bunch of walls and things, stuff tends to spawn inside. And that was the problem that we were having. So if I built a moat around the actual wall, it would keep them from destroying the wall, which is good. But it probably wouldn't keep them from spawning inside, which is the main issue.